Hi, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. If you are here on YouTube, you click a little link down below and you'll end up in Zoom. You'll see another little link and you can click on that. And then you will enter our producer circle in Mukana, which is where all of you ask questions, chat amongst yourself, and really drive the entire conversation that we have here. We don't have an agenda. The agenda is to talk about what you ask about. So it's very, very important for you to ask those questions and vote those questions up in Mukana. If you think that you could answer the questions, if you could, give back a little bit to the community with the knowledge that you have, then join us early. We open the doors at 6 a.m. You can check your system, and we do mic checks at 6:40. You need to be here by 6:40 and raise your digital hand, your Zoom hand, at 6:40 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. To actually join the panel. It's also the time that we put out the Discord link where you can join. There's over 1,000 of us that just keep talking about this between all the shows because a couple hours a day just isn't enough. So you can join Discord and be part of that conversation as well. First hour is general discussion. We're talking about whatever you post around media and virtual production. Then the second hour is really something that we've decided to spend a little bit more time on. Today, we're going to look at everybody's setup. So last week we kind of gave everybody a ruthless review of how they looked, but today we're going to have everybody give us a little behind the scenes of how their setup is done, and we'll talk through that a little bit. So that should be a lot of fun. Tomorrow we're going to talk about social media and really how we use different platforms and what we do with them. So that'll be the next discussion. And then Friday we're going to talk about storage. Where do we put all this stuff? How do we back it up? Is it in the cloud, on-prem? So that'll be the second hour on Friday. Of course, Saturday is the long day. We have education for 2 hours, and then Nick Jushishin will be joining us at 10 to talk about Unreal. We're taking a little bit of a step back in the Unreal training and a lot more starting from scratch. There was some comments about having a hard time with the heavier the set. So we're going to kind of back up and just start placing things into the 3D space. So Nick has a new video that we pushed out this morning in the email. So you can check that out. My recommendation is to play with it and come with questions. Remember that you can now ask questions in Mukana anytime. So you can save those in your notes section in your upper right. When you click on there, you'll see notes, and you can actually save as questions. You can save them and then just push them in the morning. So good thing to think about is to keep that open and just put questions in there as they arise during the day. Then you can just throw them in. Anything that you're curious about, that you might be not quite sure about that you'd like us to discuss, put it in there. And then finally, on Saturday at 5 o'clock, we will be playing along with Mad in the Kitchen, Madeline Smithberg. And so that's going to be on Zoom. We're going to put out the link next week, not next week, tomorrow. So we'll put the link out for you to join tomorrow for that meeting. It will not be the webinar link. It'll be a meeting link. And so we're going to put that out tomorrow. And we would love to have all the people who have been joining us to join that link and cook together. There'll also be a production link where you can watch it. And remember, you don't have to cook. You can, in the Zoom session, one of the things that we found interesting about the cooking on Saturday is how people were able to kind of create their own show if they were panelists. We didn't give that opportunity to the webinar attendees. We'll probably not do. This is going to be a place where we kind of veer away from the webinar view and go into meetings, because what we found as feedback, we talked about a little here, and I talked to some folks offline about it, is what people really liked is building their own show, being able to pin 4 or 5 people that they're interested in watching and kind of build their own show out. And we think that might actually be more advantageous than a single feed. So it's a really interesting behavior that we didn't expect, I admit. It may actually change the way we do a lot of production, being able to have people watch. If you're on the other side, you can literally watch 5 or 6 different people, the person talking, the other chef, all the different folks. You can actually decide what you want to watch. So we're going to play with that a little bit. Go ahead, Guy.
Do we have to actually allow them to multi-pin to get a 2-up, or because I think you have to request that? Felipe is nodding his head.
So do we have to? Is that something we have to change in the behavior of Felipe?
Well, on meetings, you have the option to allow multi-pin. Otherwise, they can't do multi-pin if they're just.
We'll allow it. because so we'll make sure that that's good. That's a good point. We'll make sure that that's in the web settings that you set that up.
No, it's on an individual basis. That's the thing, is they'll have to verbally or in chat or something like that ask for that feature.
That's super inefficient. Yeah, we'll still play with it. So what's going to happen is we're going to do this with Madeline for the next 8 weeks, and we're going to figure a bunch of stuff out. So if I don't think that there's going to be more than 50 or 60 people that will jump into the meeting. So I have a feeling that we'll be able to. Someone could by hand. Everyone just raise their hand, and we'll just go through and okay them to do that. It'll take the first couple minutes, and we're going to have everyone come in early, so we'll have plenty of time to do it. So we'll go ahead and make sure people can multi-pin. Again, this is all a big experiment in how we build this. The first couple will probably be pretty rough. By the end, I think we may end up creating an entirely different way of doing a show. So which will be kind of interesting. So we really hope that a lot of you join us to watch or to cook. We definitely hope some of you show up with the ability to cook. And remember, you don't have to have multi-camera. You can have a single webcam, your laptop, whatever. You don't have to go crazy. Some of us do, but that's not a requirement to join and be part of the conversation. So we're really hoping that a lot of folks jump in. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the questions. What do we have, Bill?
Thank you, Alex. Here we go with this morning's first question. Comes from our old friend Beju in India. And Beju says, what's the panel expecting from the Apple event on the 20th, spring loaded? Also, any plans for a watch party? And he has a note to a link for it.
As far as the watch party goes, if I have to just check in to find out what I think, that because it's on Tuesday, I have a feeling that what we're going to do is end up starting Mac break early. So I think that might be, I may be just on Mac break for that. I mean, it doesn't mean you guys can't do a watch party, but I think that I may be pressed into action. Jason?
I would say it's almost certainly going to have something to do with the Apple TV. I certainly hope. If Apple can push out 4K at 120, oh boy, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an interesting. Go ahead, Stuart.
iMac Pro M1.
You think for that?
Little premature.
I think they will want to kick the boot or put the boot into everybody else while they still got the opportunity.
Well, I think they have the opportunity for the next 5 to 10 years. So I think that I don't think anyone's going to have anywhere to avoid that boot right now. But I think that typically hardware like that is released in June, but we'll see. Go ahead, Leland, and then Paul.
The only problem with a watch party for this event is that Facebook is discontinuing watch party on the 16th.
Oh, no. We do our watch parties here in Zoom.
Oh, your Zoom
yeah,
watch
we don't.
parties.
We never really. There's a reason they're turning that off, is no one used it. Go ahead, Paul, and then Bill.
I'm just conjecturing. 43-inch Apple TV with a really improved remote, just an awesome remote control.
Go ahead, Bill.
All right, that's my prediction.
I had thought they might do their competitor to Tile, their AirTags, but there was a story that just pushed out of the Apple official newsroom that they've partnered up with somebody who does that sort of thing, and they're talking about supporting that. There were a lot of antitrust reasons they didn't want to get into another space, but we'll see.
Well, they have opened up to third parties for all the Find My. To do that a week before the event might be a way that you manage some of the antitrust conversations. Go ahead, Jan.
Maybe a glucose meter in the Apple Watch, or possibly maybe the Apple Car, which seems to be the buzz these days.
My guess is the Apple Car is probably 5 years away at best. It's still probably got a lot of, all cars have a lot of development that's required to get to what's required there. I think the most likely, from my perspective, we talked a lot about this on Mac Break yesterday, is the iPad is probably the thing that we would expect. That's what they've traditionally done in the spring. I think that the AirTags close, a second for that. I think those are the two things that the iPad, for I would say 95 to 99%. AirTags, I'd give it about 60%. Go ahead, Carl. Excuse me, Carl.
So yeah, the micro LED in the iPad Pro. That's the one I'm looking forward for. Like, if Apple can find a supplier that can do that, which is like only Sony that's doing the micro LED at volume at the moment. They're actually doing the larger LED panels, of course, but yeah, the micro LED in the iPad Pro is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be updates from stuff that didn't get updated back in November. We won't see anything new until June when WWDC happens.
Well, again, I think that it'll be interesting. One of the things that'll be really interesting for my perspective is looking at what happens with the demo, whatever AR demo. If they're going to show a new iPad, they're going to show AR. Like that, we can be certain of that.
At least the last 5 years, every single time.
Yeah. So, which, by the way, when you think about an AR, when you think about a technology rollout, to start talking about something 5 years ahead of time before you start really turning the gas on, and to give developers a long runway and to slowly install LiDAR into everything that people are using. I mean, we are seeing probably the most well-organized, well-planned rollout of a new technology in the history of the world. like it is that, and that's why I keep on going back to AR is going to be a big deal, because there is this very slow turn that's happening. I mean, USDZ was introduced 3 years ago. It was, and it's slowly, creeping into different pieces, and it's now in motion in Final Cut, which would be really useful if you wanted to build AR experiences, to have tools that will be able to do it. I know people that are building hundreds and thousands of 3D models for a platform that doesn't exist yet. Not at Apple, at other companies that I've talked to. So it's quite a thing that we're kind of watching. Well, it could be a stunning failure, but probably not. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, Alex, along those lines, why are people so kind of thinking that it's gimmicky? I mean, I understand that it hasn't happened yet, but I'm with you. I agree. Apple is one of the few companies that can actually do this and do it correctly because they're playing the long game. Right. I don't know when it will happen. I know they've been doing it for so long.
It's because so many people have done so many gimmicky things. I think the reason that we see that is like people go, the Eagles game. I know there was some Eagles playoff game where they had an eagle flying through the stadium, and everyone's trying to do shock and awe things that are really cool, rather than realizing that what makes something really massive is the day-to-day stuff.
Rather than doing the work.
Well, and just that at a stadium, what you really want to know is where are the bathrooms and where are the hot dogs and where are the, where's the closest exit? I mean, those are the things we really want. We don't need an eagle flying through the thing. We need to know where to go next. But beyond that, you can start doing all kinds of things where you can create games, and imagine being able to transform an arena into a game area where people are playing around. And if it's Taylor Swift, there's a whole bunch of things that are Taylor Swift, or there's Elton John, or any band. There's all things that you can kind of explore while you're waiting for the show to start. And those are the kinds of things that I think are going to be possible in the not too distant future. And then when it comes to education, when it comes to being able to, like, if you look at what John was doing yesterday, John Tatulis was talking about the MIX-Pre. What if the MIX-Pre could be floating in front of us and explode out, and have him explain things and have everything, things just annotating while we're talking. And that may seem very sci-fi. It's like a year or two away. Go ahead, John.
So on Facebook, I saw this ad of this AR system with an electronic breadboard, and it showed you the current flow and everything else. I thought, what a beautiful use case for AR.
I think that, one of the things that once we don't have to hold a phone up to do it, one of the things that we started talking about is being able to set up an AR relationship where I could just put my finger on look at a router. Just imagine a 40 by 40 router or a switcher, and just put my finger on each one of them and have the video of what is going into that input show up, like just pop up. Like, that's the video, that's the video, that's the video. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's coming. Now go ahead, Jeffrey.
I'm curious. Do you think that we'll start doing what's called AR blocking? Like, for instance, you're at a concert, and you put up your phone, take a picture, and then all of a sudden a big black box appears in front of the artist's
not impossible.
Face, or a watermark or anything like that. Yeah,
it's not impossible. Most bands can do whatever they don't need to do AR blocking. Generally, you can socially engineer people not using their phones in concerts. So they're tacitly allowing that, because literally there are some bands that get up there and say, do not take your phone out. It insults me to take a phone out. And if you see someone around you taking their phone out, tell them not to do it, and all the phones go away. Like, it just, it's too embarrassing. So that you can socially engineer that experience really fast. Yeah. So we have to understand that the bands are allowing that to happen. They'll talk about it being a problem, but they're not. They could stop it in a heartbeat and I've
That's
seen
why
them
I
do
was
it.
thinking instead
they
of
don't-
watermark rather than a block, so they have a website underneath the picture or video.
Maybe. I think that getting into that, I think, would probably upset people. So I mean, I think it's easier just to socially engineer the process. Next question.
Moving on, actually, this one comes from Joshua Feingold from New York. Anker and Microsoft both released webcams yesterday. Will anybody be including them in their kits?
After we test them. Go ahead, Jason.
I'm going to go with can an Atem control it? In which case, probably not.
I mean, we use webcams because they're just easier to set up. So when we send out smaller kits, we're definitely using them.
I agree. I just my kit, not in my kit.
Right. Yeah, it would be. I will buy one. I'm sure I'll buy one of each because we're always looking for what is the next best thing. We'll put it up against charts, against the Brio, and so on and so forth, and see what we think of it. I love the fact they're promoting dual microphones, and we're like, I don't care about the microphones. That's definitely not something I want to use from that distance. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, the Anker looks pretty good because it's got a better rotation on it. You can not only tilt it forward and backward, but it goes side to side and at different angles. It's got a better mounting system, I think, than the Logitech does.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that concerns me is whether it's a native 1080p or whether it's a native 4K, because right now it promotes itself as a 1080p camera, but it talks about 115-degree angle as you're wide out. Unless that's a lens that's changing, which I don't think it is. If you're zooming in the sensor, it means that you can't get a sharp image. You won't get a sharp image. You won't get close up, and 115 degrees is a disaster, from an individual person's perspective. Go ahead, Bill.
Having spent some time in retail and supply chains, I am just flabbergasted by both Anker and Newer, the NEEWER companies, and just in terms of their time to market, development and shipping and everything managing supply chains. They're just astonishing companies. This is truly a new era for global distribution of goods.
Next question.
Rupert McRae of Dallas, Texas is in next, and Rupert asks, comms has been discussed a lot recently. Are comms over-recorded to review and investigate things after the facts, airplane black box style?
Go ahead, Doug.
I record mine every show, and what I do, I record a camera in my truck, and then I sync it up with program. And then I use it as a learning tool or to find out what went good, what went bad. So I use them all the time and record them.
Most people don't record comms because we say a lot of things during shows that we don't necessarily want to repeat. So I think that's the reason that most people are sensitive to recording their comms. Now we're going to try it because I'm not only going to record the comms, I'm going to stream the comms on Saturday. So that'll be something for you watching the production. We'll listen to us talk through comms that way, and we'll see. It might be a kind of a disaster the first time. We've never done it before. But generally comms can be very Sailor-esque in how they interact. Most of us have gotten better over time.
It's made me get better at
exactly.
I used to be bad, but then once I could hear myself, like, my gosh, I am a
idiot. The big thing is that I think I've said this before. We've done a couple jobs with NASA, and it really just changed the way we did comms. And it was really interesting talking to someone at NASA about it. And I was like, well, you guys are so calm. And they said, well, when someone's on the outside of a spaceship hundreds of miles off the surface of the Earth, increasing their stress point is probably not the pot, that could kill somebody. So they are very calm all the time. And I'm not always calm all the time, but I definitely endeavor that type of relay now and try to push it within our group. I go ahead, Felipe, and then Sky.
Oh, I was just going to say that for the same reason that we want people to show their names here, recording maybe make people get a little bit more professional. I suffer sometimes on comms when people have a lot of strenuous conversations, and I say, look, I'm gonna just listen to this channel, and I want to concentrate on the show.
Yeah, you'll hear me oftentimes on comms. I won't usually point somebody out, but I'll come on comms and say, hey, keep it tight. Keep it tight means stop whatever you're talking about. Like that's not like I don't get into stop whatever you're talking about. I just say you'll hear me you'll hear a thing over comms with like, hey, keep it tight. And that means tuck it in, stop doing whatever you're doing. Go ahead, Sky.
Chris Fenwick has a spicier version.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have, will you be having a spy cam in your studio, or would you be interested in one in the kitchen in the Bellevue?
We should definitely have both. But we can't stream out of a dual one. Actually, we can't do that right now until you guys fix the bandwidth.
That's what we're working on today.
Yeah. So if you fix the bandwidth, yes, we do. If you don't fix the bandwidth, no, we don't.
Is just a GoPro good enough? Spy cam up in the corner?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll talk. Thank you.
All right. Next question.
Sunny Newfield in Winnipeg, Canada says, what are your favorite fonts for on-screen text and lower thirds, for example?
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, the Apple's San Francisco. They put a lot of time and effort into that.
Oh, the new one, not the old one. You scared me because the old one used to be little characters, goofy.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason, and then Bill.
The trick with any font and when you're streaming it and looking at it on a thing that will be compressed is anti-aliasing. And in general, sans serif or fonts without serifs look good, but they have to be larger. They also need to be more contrasty. Serifed fonts, you can typically get away with being a little bit smaller, and that's just typography 101. Personally, my favorite is Avenir Next if I can get it to be heavy enough and contrasty enough.
Go ahead, Bill.
I changed a lot. I used to have I followed all these things, sans serif fonts. You don't want a little small details, italics and things like that. But I've changed, and what did it for me was watching the Grammys a few years ago when Brandi Carlile had a performance, and they used a very spidery script text and did her lyrics as she sang them, and it really worked. I mean, the chyron was delayed, and I didn't like that part, but in legibility of a complicated, delicate font, broadcast over video, it actually worked. And it just said to me that as our rasters get more refined, you're able to do more. So I'm going to have to peel back some of my thinking. I can actually let type designers get a little more fluid and think more about it rather than just slab serif fonts.
Yeah,
I agree. It's really just all about the client, you know.
Yeah, and generally sans serif is not a font that looks modern on graphics. So it's just one of those, the sans serif font, or sorry, serif fonts. Sans serif is what we almost always use for our graphics. I find it to be a little, it's more of a display font than rather, I think sans serif or serif is really great in big chunks of text to read, while sans serif tends to be more of a display font. Avenir is a great one. I also use Helvetica New a lot, just as a kind of a straight font. Myriad, Roboto. So those are some of the ones that I use when we're not dealing with. I mean, we have a lot of them that clients give us. And one of the smart things that a lot of our clients, our larger clients, have done is they build their own fonts. They're very similar to other fonts. So you'll go like, that one looks a lot like something, but they've gone to a foundry and they've paid money. They paid money once. And here's why it's smart. If you're following all the licensing, the cost of having your own font made for your company is less than licensing it properly for hundreds of freelancers and everything.
It's dirt cheap.
So it costs thousands of dollars to do it. If you're really playing the game correctly and for big companies, you have to, otherwise you get sued, so you get the font, you tweak it to your own little feel, and you spend, $5-10 grand on that oftentimes. And then you now have a font that is your font that you put out. And we're seeing more and more of our companies that we work with do that. Next question.
Peter Moore of Auckland, New Zealand says, has anybody used Riverside.fm?
Felipe? No, not Felipe. Alan's not here. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, Chris and I and Felipe have been trying it out, and it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I know Alan was on earlier, and he said that there are some, he's having some issues sometimes transversing networks that are highly secure. So, I think that they're still having some of the typical WebRTC problems that you get into, and web-based problems. So you may have some corporate issues that will stall it. what we believe is happening, and I haven't had time to set it up and packet sniff it, but what we believe is happening is you're getting a low resolution WebRTC, so that's really designed as low latency, but very quick, connection so that you can see what's going on. That's followed up at the same time by an HLS stream to the server, so it's basically pushing packets as it goes, up and then recollecting those in the cloud. And so we're going to be testing it because we may use it in a project very soon. So stay tuned. We're definitely looking at it. The 5 megabit, it looks like it's capped out right now at 5 megabits a second for the record. We think that should be adjustable to 10 if we had the bandwidth. Go ahead, Leland.
From what we've worked with them a little bit with the License to Rant show with John Peasy, and we're looking to use that as a pre-production process, because obviously there is no live element to that can be embedded into a post-production. You have to actually take the elements that you get, which are in-house recordings of each individual that is on the feed, and then those are distributed back to the server for the final composite recordings, which are all ISO obviously, but they can also include a composite. I do believe you can call them and ask for higher bit rates on the video production end so that you can get better video, but that would obviously cost more in that case. I know
it shouldn't, by the way, because it doesn't require anything on their end.
No,
it doesn't. Like it's just them flipping a bit.
So I don't really know where that's headed. But the only thing I don't like about Riverside is that it contains this little window of what is not really the actual element that's being sent to the server. You're only seeing a small portion of your caller. And then when you get the feedback, you've got the full, resolution that they've fed it to you in, depending on what kind of camera they're using. But the resolution seems to be good. When Chris and I tested it, we got some really good recordings, but he had to make some adjustments as well in post just to get things to line up on time track properly. There was an issue there.
Yeah. Next question.
Brian Carpenter of Cleveland, Ohio is up next with, rather than spending $300 on a Decimator just to horizontally flip my 15-inch Lepow teleprompter display, is there some Raspberry Pi or Arduino style hardware solution? OBS works but requires too much CPU GPU. And he notes, I found a related topic at raspberrypi.org, but it seems more than a novice could handle. He's got a link there to that.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
So if you want a teleprompter, there are a couple apps on GitHub that you can go for. I can try and find them for you. I've seen them before. But the other thing is there is a command that you can run inside of your Raspberry Pi to actually flip the monitor, not rotate the monitor, but flip the monitor, because that's the problem. If you try to search for flipping the monitor, it's just talking about going landscape to portrait. But there is a way to flip it for teleprompter.
Go ahead, John, and then David.
I have a little smaller, newer monitor that has HDMI in and out, and you can flip it. So I use that to flip. That monitor cost me $90 versus the Decimator, which is $400. And so I have a little extra monitor to flip it.
Yep. Go ahead, David.
Also, if you use VLC, you can transform it horizontally and then pipe that into whatever monitor you're using.
Yeah.
If you can get a signal.
And every teleprompting software that's worth its salt will have a flip in it. So if you're using teleprompter software that can't flip its own text, then you've really saved a lot of money, I'm sure. But wow, you're building a whole hardware chain around not being able. There's a radio box in every worthwhile any teleprompt software under $100 will have at $100 or $50 or whatever, will have some button that you can just click that will flip the text. We even have it in Mukana. We have our teleprompter view. You can just hit the arrows and it'll swap. It's not hard. Go ahead, Jason, and then John.
I can't help but ask, can an Atem DVE do that if you reverse the if you just give it a negative? Will it flip?
I don't know if it will mirror. No, I'm not sure about that. Go ahead, John.
I was just going to say that all my teleprompter software flipped, but when I started wanting to do Zoom meetings and panels, then
it became an issue. Bill and then Rupert, but real quick, we're going to move on.
I was just going to say, even the iOS devices almost all have mirror buttons in them. It's just not complicated anymore.
Yeah, go ahead, Rupert.
If you happen to be using NDI, the NDI Studio Monitor allows you to flip horizontally and vertically.
Yeah, Stuart, 10 seconds.
I'm going to ask the obvious. Can't you just physically flip the monitor over?
No, because it's black on the back and there's stuff coming out of it. You can't flip it over. All right, next question.
You can read your battery. That's it. Andy Kokendorfer of Melbourne, Florida says, any suggestions on a free loudness meter I can point folks toward? I found the Orban loudness meter, standalone map, but it references LKFS, not LUFS.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Ulean loudness meter. They have a free version and a pro version.
How do you spell that?
Youlean, I believe.
I only asked because I was basically trying to spell you like you with the U and couldn't find it for a while. So anyway, go ahead, Roscoe.
Yeah, it's a little resource heavy. On a slower Mac, it really bogs it down. So, but it is free, and I put the link in.
Next question.
Steve Machez out of Boston, Massachusetts says, in Zoom webinars, when screen sharing, the attendees see the screen share with the presenter in a picture-in-picture. Is there a setting to hide the presenter? He only wants to see the screen share itself.
I don't think that there is. I think it always shows the presenter unless they choose not to look at it. Go ahead, Matt.
If anyone knows of one, please let me know because I would love to find it. I've never seen it anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's assumed that the behavior that you want. And I will admit that being able to see the presenter and being able to move the little slider over so you half presenter and half screen share is a great experience for the user. So I know that there might be a temptation to want to not do that, but it's actually a great experience. So something to think about. Next question.
Jonas Dattel, running in Germany, here says, Linus Tech Tips announced they will do HDR for their YouTube videos soon. Which HDR version does YouTube use?
YouTube supports HLG and HDR10. Those are the two that are done. And there are some great examples. So if you have an iPhone 12 or anything that supports HDR and you go up to YouTube, look for the Samsung demos. Samsung has incredible demos that they put up of HDR. And I'm going to be posting some stuff soon. I'm trying to do the live streaming to it, but I just haven't had time. Go ahead, Carl.
So something I found out was that the built-in apps to your 4K TV that can handle HDR, use your built-in YouTube app. Don't use the Apple TV. The Apple TV can't give HDR correctly from YouTube to a 4K HDR TV. It's just really bizarre. I've done a test and it crushes the blacks. It does really weird stuff where I've used the internal app and it's perfect. So it can do HDR, but it does weird stuff to the blacks.
Well, so when you say internal app on the Apple TV or
on your television. Your television will have an internal YouTube app. That is the only way you're going to get the true HDR without crushing the blacks or doing weird stuff. The Apple TV 4K, which has HDR, when you pump it through, and I put it through in Dolby Vision, I put it through just in HDR, which is HDR10. It comes out, it does weird stuff to the blacks. So I've looked at some nighttime stuff in Japan that's HDR, and the sky is ink black. It's gray in Apple TV. Ink black if you use the internal app in the TV.
I'm going to guess that it's doing a double LUT. So it's basically
that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, it's doing a double LUT. Go ahead, Charles.
So Carl, what TV are you using? What manufacturer?
So Sony 950 series. So it's a 120 hertz TV.
But my guess is that what it's doing is it's putting out the LUT, and the reason it works in the internal one is it's assuming the LUT from within YouTube, and then the Apple is putting out another one, on top of it, or signifying that another one. So it's basically doing HDR10 twice, which would create exactly the behavior that you're talking about. Go ahead, Felipe, and then Jason.
Yeah, you said that your city image a little bit gray. That problem is because the Apple TV is not being able to trigger the HDR profile on the TV. I have the same exact problem. If you reboot the TV, which is running Android TV, it goes away. It comes back normal.
My TV will tell, my TV has like diagnostics. It will tell me not only what HDR it is that's coming in, on what input and via which HDMI type of cable. So when you have a 950 Sony, it will give you all this information. It's pretty cool.
Go ahead, Ken. Oh, sorry, Jason.
To avoid a rat hole, I'll keep this really brief. I too have the Bravia 950 75-inch Sony TV. The firmware has been a little bit weird, and it is notorious for slipping between picture modes. The only way that I've been able to fix that is actually using a colorimeter and physically calibrating it using the app that costs $100, and you output it straight through Resolve, and putting the colorimeter physically on the TV, and that will nail it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just, you're just chasing your tail.
I think the problem is for a lot of us, I won't let my TVs be touching the internet. So my Apple TV is the only.
I had to use
thing
USB.
I had to use
USB.
That's the challenge
It was a
I have.
big
Is
pain.
I don't have enough trust with other manufacturers. I think Apple has played the privacy game pretty well, and so a lot of people are just choosing not to let anything else. If an Apple can control it, then you just get into the mode where you don't want to have anything else touch it. So next question.
Michael Vosbein of Woodstock, Georgia is up next with what effects do you use for voice? Compression, EQ, reverb, de-esser, noise gate enhancer, hardware, or software?
Okay, everyone all at once? It depends. Yeah. So it depends.
Utterly depends. Every voice is different.
I mean, I think that it would be, yeah, go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, I mean, 95% of the time, definitely have an EQ there. If I need dynamics, then I'll use dynamics. If I need, a de-esser, I'll put a de-esser. It depends, but most of the time, like for well-recorded material, EQ and a little compression, and that's it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
100% of the time, that EQ will consist of a high-pass filter first, and then something else.
Yeah, absolutely. We ought to go through and do a ruthless review rather than of the whole scene of just mics for an hour, possibly soon, because what we can do is speak to what we're hearing. Because I think part of this is ear training of you just understanding like, hey, I hear a lot in the high end. I hear not very much in the low end. This sounds a little muffled. And I think that this kind of a technical discussion can start. We do this a little bit with mic checks, but we're so going through it so fast that we don't spend the time to really dig into what we're hearing and what it should be, from there. Let's keep moving. We're going to run out of time.
Rupert McRae of Dallas, Texas is up next with, is there any use for Toslink or SPDIF interconnects in AV production these days? I have a collection, deciding whether to keep them or toss them.
I'll go, Jason.
They're a nice little hack if you want to get out of your television and you're using, some sort of thing that you don't want to pass HDMI through in order to get surround sound. Yep. They're also very, very low latency, but they can be annoying also.
Good, Carl, and then Jeff. Pretty quick.
So in consumer, from the TV to your receiver is a very good example. In Pro, it's ADAT. So light pipe as it's known, but ADAT is.
Yep, absolutely. Jeff?
So Toslink is the Toshiba Link optical connector. It can carry 3 different forms of data: SPDIF, Sony Philips digital interface format. It can contain a couple different forms of data. So we can either do stereo digital audio in the AES SPDIF version on both of those, electrical and optical. You can also do surround sound, AC3 encoding, and then in the optical version, that same connector is also used, as he said, for light pipe, which is 8 channels of digital audio. So just because the connector fits doesn't mean things will talk.
Go ahead, Mickey.
Yeah, just to add to what Carl and Jeff mentioned, there's a lot of equipment, especially in the music environment, that use light pipe still. And there's also a good number of high quality preamps, multi-channel preamps that feed light pipe out, and you can feed that directly into a digital interface.
Next question.
Roman Kuryak of Kiev, Ukraine says, all of you are very experienced and smart guys in tech, but what about the content and context part? Are you touching it? And if yes, how do you do it? User experience is a weighted mark for production quality. Content and engagement isn't it? It's a lovely phrase.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do talk about it, and we definitely experiment with it. I mean, this is a big experiment in content. Go ahead, Roscoe, and then Charles.
That's my daytime job. We use a very simple ongoing, we use this technology, but we're using basically a camera and a good microphone setup, and we're doing scene after scene after scene after scene of narrative work. So yeah,
we definitely talk about it here. And then we also talk, like, we're experimenting. Like, for instance, a good example is this thing we're doing on Saturday, where we're giving people the opportunity to cook along and be part of the content, or they can just watch. And we're taking we're experimenting with what that feels like. Go ahead, Charles, and then Bill.
Yeah. So we're all pretty smart and techie and savvy, but that is only trying to lend itself to us telling the story and produce something well for the client, trying to solve that problem that they have. And essentially that's it. And then the other part, how you interact with people, like you have to be a good person, have good intentions, and then move forward from there. But the tech side is only to serve the story.
In a lot of ways, the tech is the common thing between us, that we're talking about. We're all working on different things, everything from church services to cooking to big films to all kinds of other things. And the one thing that is common among us is the media production, how we actually get it done, which is why we focus on it here. But we're definitely going to be, we're going to continue to talk about that content. Bill and then Sky, and then we'll move on, but really fast. We're running out of time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think the tech part is nice because it's quantifiable often. You can say, are you reaching your audio levels or are you not? That's pretty much it. When it comes to the aesthetic choices that come with any creative work, it's just such a wide gamut. I like this, somebody else likes that. It takes longer and more complex discussions to delve into that stuff.
Yep, go ahead, Sky, real quick.
Pre-production means you have to write the script that's a narrative. Post-production is how you get a story assembled together, but also if you're doing a live event, it's a whole different animal.
Yep. Okay. Next question.
Luca Pasquale Giannini of Montreal says, for a talking head setup like yours, the Atem Mini Pro is tempting and future-proof, but I'm concerned with audio-video sync. When pushing 1080 60 frames per sec from a mirrorless camera DSLR through an Atem connected via USB-C to a MacBook Pro, will sound sent via the Zoom's H6 connected on another USB be in sync with the video?
Go ahead, Todd.
The Atem Mini has the delay built into the media tab, so you can absolutely govern your sync right there.
You can. He's running it directly. He's doing it as a dual pipe, so he's got the audio coming into the computer separately from the Atem. So you need to, at that point, you need to start figuring that out. Jason and then Guy, relatively quick.
I also can't help but wonder why, if for a talking head, you're using 1080 60 coming out of a DSLR. You are just wasting all your bits for no reason.
Yeah, for talking head, I would say 30 is fine. Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, no, I disagree. On Facebook 1080p, when live streaming pros goes live with their 1080p 60, it looks pretty nice. I mean, you can visibly tell the difference. It looks really good. So, I mean, it's up to you guys whether you want to do that or not. But back to the question, I apply 200 milliseconds in vMix, which seems to be about the offset.
1080p, I think, is important. I think that 60, I don't know how much you would see if people are just
1080p 60. Heads. So 30, there's visibly you can see the difference in his shows. I mean, it looks amazing.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Go ahead, Roscoe.
Audio hijack will also let you have the delay.
Yeah. Next question.
David in Malaga, Spain says, which keyboard do panelists recommend for everyday use?
I recommend the question is which keyboard? Like, is it a keyboard or is it everyone's showing different, everyone show their keyboards. Okay. You just have to show it. You can't talk about what keyboard you're using. You just have to show your keyboard. A lot of Mac extended, some wireless extended, some clickety clacks.
If I lift up my laptop, everything's going to fall over.
Paul's is crazy looking. Okay, there you go. There's a lot of different ones here. So I think that's as close as we can get to answering your question. It depends, but I use a lot. I try to use I used to have a really nice D something or other, like kind of clickety clack one, but it made too much noise while I'm taking notes with clients, and so I went back to the Apple one, which is the quietest one to click on that I know of. Mickey, real quick, and then we'll move on.
Yeah. Always a number pad. So many shortcuts on the number pad.
Yeah. You got to have an extended one. Chris will love to hear me say that because I think he came into my office and I only had one because we had used my extended somewhere else. Anyway, next question.
Kyle Hammond of Chicago is back with, is there a recipe for Saturday?
Yeah, there is a recipe for Saturday. We're not going to tell you what it is, but there is one. No, we're going to put it out tomorrow. So we'll put out the recipe in tomorrow's email. It'll be at the bottom so that not to stack it up, but the whole recipe and the shopping list and everything else. And some quick instructions will be going out tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. It's kimchi pancakes. Kimchi pancakes. Amazing. All right. Next question.
Jonas Nattel, Reutlingen, Germany. Will the Multiview stream from MITK be recorded? Oh,
yes.
Mad in the Kitchen.
Yes, it will. Yep. Next question.
Paul Wallace of south of Austin, Texas. What is the best brand of USB hub? At least 10 ports for a Mac Mini M1.
Jason?
OWC. No question.
No question. Next question.
Alex 40 Goldner in London, England. Felipe, what did you learn from giving your presentation at Post-Production World online on Tuesday?
To have a lot of water next to you. You're gonna get nervous even if you don't see the audience, and you're gonna drink a lot of water.
How did it go?
Loved it. I received a lot of great feedback. I'm totally overwhelmed. We received several invitations to do the presentation again, and we are running after the permission to do that. So if you guys wanna have it here on second hour,
we would love to have it here on second hour. So if it's okay to do that, we would absolutely have you on. So just ping me and let me know when it's okay, when you've cleared it, and then we'll schedule you. Yeah, would love to have you do it. Okay, great. Next question.
Hazmat Gajar, a friend from Cape Town, South Africa, says Cinamaker beta. I tried the beta of this app. I've hooked 4 iPhones, and Zoom sees Cinamaker as a cam. It has possibilities. What does the panel think?
Go ahead, John.
It's out of beta. They released it on Monday. But we do have a group of office hours people who are participating, and Gary would love to come talk on the show for a second hour. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Because
let's figure out when.
iPad.
Yeah, let's figure out when Gary can come on. Happy to have him on. Yeah, absolutely. I know that's been a long conversation that I've been having with Cinamaker, or people connected to Cinamaker for like the last 6 months or 8 months. So happy to have him on.
Can somebody super briefly describe it? I'm not aware of it. But just
multicam editor, all on iOS.
Oh,
nice. So and you can go ahead, John.
Well, iOS, it started as an iPad app, but now they have a Mac app which has Zoom integrated into it. So they have a new version called what do they call it? Cinamaker
Meeting Director.
Yeah, thank you, Guy. Yeah. And so Zoom is integrated. They have 2 versions. One version, the free one, lets you do 2 cameras. The Pro version lets you do 4 cameras. What's useful for us, it lets you do 7 audio inputs. So I use little iTouches for wireless microphones.
That's nice. Osman?
Yeah, I was just pleasantly surprised how seamlessly it picked up all 4 iPhones via the Wi-Fi. And, normally this EpoCam and all the others that we use are always a hurdle. This was really very easy.
That's great.
That's their strength, their ability to connect to Wi-Phones. They've really worked on that wireless connection.
And one of the things, by the way, that's been proven, I've been testing in the house is actually a dedicated Wi-Fi for my production. So not using the house production, and I'm having the router sit like really in the room pretty much right next to where I'm doing production. And it's only available to those, and it's not, so it's close. It's only available to those on its own. I've been kind of separating the channels out, and it's rock solid. Like it is, like, cause I was having all this trouble, and I finally was like, okay, the heck with this. I'm going to sit down and figure this out. So everything is getting its own. And in a dense environment, I don't think that would make a difference because there's too many signals. But in my house, there's not that many signals that are available. So there's a lot of clear area to work with. But I think dedicating a Wi-Fi signal just to your cameras that doesn't even have to go to the internet. It just has to go to each other is useful. Next question.
Luca Pasquale Giannini, back from Montreal. Is it better to use a simple Legato 4K cam link and push both sound and video through HDMI cable to the camera? In this case, I'd connect Zoom to the camera. Both sounds and video would go through HDMI to the capture card.
Go ahead, Jason.
I'm assuming he's picking up from his last question, which is, instead of an Atem Mini. And I would say the Atem Mini is going to give you better flexibility. And it's definitely going to be lighter on your CPU.
Go ahead, Mickey.
Talking about the audio, if it depends what exactly your camera is. If your camera has a decent preamp built in and also a decent analog to digital converter, then I'd rather go with the camera, I guess. But if not, then a high quality audio interfaces might do a better job.
Next question. We're going to move really fast. Go ahead.
Marty Atias of Silver Springs, Maryland says, I was looking at this spec comparison of Panasonic pan-tilt zoom cameras. Those with a 1/2.3-inch sensor show a maximum lux level of 0.35, and the UE-150 with its much larger 1-inch sensor shows a minimum level of 2 lux. How does that work? It seems contra-logical.
Go ahead, Carl.
So the minimum lux you're going to see is not usable really. It's good for security cameras, but not in production. So that's like ISO 6400, whatever.
Yeah, and it could be just measuring what they decide is the quality of what is available, and they may be pushing over, what but yeah, a 0.35 on a 1/3 inch or 2.3 would be absurd. So I don't. They're probably measuring it differently, is my guess. Next question.
Chris Widener in Lafayette, Indiana, wants to know: has anyone used a Rode Go 2 and a Rode NTG together? Any quirks to be aware of?
I've not used them together. I don't think anybody has yet. So we'll get back to you when we connect these two together. Go ahead, Jesse, real quick.
You just got to be careful with using a bunch of Rode mics because some of them have higher inherent self noise. So you might want to go with the NTG3 if it's in your budget.
But I don't know how you would connect those to. I don't know how you'd connect those to the Rode Go 2. Well, like the Rode Go 2 is like an 1/8 inch jack in, so
Yeah,
I don't know how
not
you'd
designed
connect
for
it. Yeah, I don't think they're designed to work together. Go ahead, Mickey, real quick.
Yeah, the NTG3 would need phantom power. So to hook it up to the Rode Go 2, you need a phantom power supply box, which I just cleaned my table because of what's happening later, and I had it here. Right.
All right, next question.
Robert Baker of Rockville, Maryland. Has anyone ever had a Blackmagic Design Pocket 4K 6K record video where it seemed the audio recorded at 24p and the video at 30p and could not be synced at all?
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Never. Not a single time.
The most common thing around that would be a 29 versus 30 or a 41, some kind of, it's usually not a 24 to 30, but it's 44:1 to 48 or a 29:97 to 30 kind of thing where it slips. Mickey, real quick, and then we move on.
Yeah, audio does not work in frames. If it has time code, it has metadata in frames, but the actual audio recorded is still in samples. So it doesn't matter whatever frame rate that's set at, as long as it's still usually 48 kilohertz.
Yeah. Next question.
Sam Greenwood of Toronto, Canada says, what are you most excited about that was yesterday announced at NVIDIA's GTC keynote?
Faster cards. It's always like more power. That's usually like they talk about a lot of other things. I'm like, I'm
Same
sure someone's
thing
excited.
They always announce. That's
I'm
what
sure.
we liked.
I'm sure everybody's excited about all these other things, but I just want the faster cards. So more RAM, more speed. Next question.
Jonathan Daigle in Washington, D.C. Can anyone recommend a good Bluetooth keyboard for Mac? Would like multi-device, no number pad. Tried many, all suck. And the new site, Satichi X1 repeats keystrokes. Mateus also had typing issues. Many don't work with the Mac key combos.
And Roscoe holds up the wireless Mac keyboard. Yeah. That always, I will admit, it always works. Now it may not, it doesn't have the numbers, it's not extended. Those are some other things, but it just works. Go ahead, Jason.
Nope, you said it all.
Yep. Jan, real quick.
The Logitech K8, what is it? K11, K811. I use it.
And I've
all
used
the
that with
time.
my iPad, and it's worked well.
Well, what I like about this one is if you could see at the top over there, it's got 3 different choices. Oh no, I'm backwards here. It's this way. You have 3 different buttons, and you can change the keyboard from your computer to your iPad to your iPhone with 3 different Bluetooth devices. It really is convenient.
Absolutely. Next question.
Tony Mobley of Newman, Georgia. Our friend says, is it possible to show arms and stands on the desks or counters for iPads, iPhones, microphones, and lighting?
I think that we're going to show that next. So stay tuned. It's coming up. Next question.
Moving on, Roman Kirk of Kyiv, Ukraine. Is it possible that you will do the dedicated session bits of advice to remote speakers? How to make perfect written instructions for remote speakers?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I put that in the second hour suggestions, and you already have put it in again, because I usually look from the bottom up and kind of scan what's most current. And we're going to be working on a lot of second hours, and that's a great suggestion. Next question. Jeff Dooley in Chicago says, any first thoughts on Live Nation gearing up for live streaming? And there's a link there. It will, it'll be interesting to see how they do it. I don't know. everyone can tell me I don't care about watching concerts from stages on TV. I just never watch them. I turn them on. I go, oh, that's cool, and then I go somewhere else. Mickey, and then Jan.
Yeah, for me, I'm a huge fan of watching music live. I guess that's the difference between us, Alex.
I like
in
watching.
terms-
I like going to the concerts. I don't like watching them on TV. But you like watching them on TV?
No, sorry, live as in like being in the concert itself.
Yeah. No, I like being at little cafe shows.
In
you
the
know, like
venue.
in venue. I don't. But like watching them on. But do you like watching them on TV? Is the question.
Gotcha. But regarding the news article about them gearing up for live streaming, it's like just now, really? Just now?
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. Okay, super fast. Guy, and then Jan, and then Jeffrey, but like 5 seconds each.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really strange. I've shot a lot of shows for Live Nation, and being a camera op right in front of everybody, it's going to change the dynamics for sure. I mean, people aren't going to do the crazy stuff that they would do or say.
Yeah. I don't see how Live Nation can understand this market, but we'll see. Jan.
I can't go. You want it quick. Basically, they're charging $15. They have 60 venues. They're going to be putting their shows in these venues, selling live tickets. People are coming to see it. And then if you can't make it, it's $15 to stream. And if anyone could do it, well, Live Nation could do it because they have more venues than anyone else. They also have Ticketmaster, and they're involved with agencies and Irving Azoff and yada, yada, yada.
It'll be interesting. Yeah.
It's a hybrid event. It's not just streaming. It's a hybrid event.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Jeffrey?
I would probably do it if I could get a copy of the video afterwards for my personal use so I can watch it again and again. But otherwise, I'd rather be there, of course, just like everybody else.
I'm working on something different. We'll talk about it later. All right, next question.
I gotta say one more thing, Alex. The one thing that Live Nation could do, where no one else I think can do, is they can get the rights, and they can get the rights from the bands, because they're so big. If you want to play their venue, you basically got to give away the store, whatever they want.
You build a strong model, and anybody can get the rights. I've worked with a lot of bands. Yep. Next question.
Todd Reynolds, North Adams, Massachusetts, says, for the cooking show last week, you trying to use Filmic Pro wired to ATMP on Android. I found it to flicker in and out, unusable. Request or advice on this, as you're all FP experts. Must be something I'm missing.
Go ahead, Rupert.
So I'd say make sure you're using quality connectors and quality cables, not too long. Kitchens are very electrically noisy environments, appliances kicking it on and off, so you can get weird ground loops and things like that. So just make sure you've got good adapters and cables, and that your phone's got a good power supply and the adapter's powered, and also that it's not a loose connection, so make sure you're getting some strain relief on the cables where they can hold the phone.
And Rupert, we lost your mic again, so it's back to like super small, like mic, like it sounds like another room. Carl? Can't hear you.
Pro. So with Filmic Pro, you want to make sure that your frame rate is the same as what your ATEM is set to. So you don't want to be doing 60 or 50 if your ATEM is set to 30.
Next question.
Jonathan Daigle in Washington, D.C. says, hello, is there any way to access past Mukana chats? For example, if I watch back catalog office hours on YouTube and someone references a link you put in Mukana.
Not yet. But you can't see all the links in Discord. Go ahead, Mickey.
Exactly that. That's all on Discord.
Yeah, Sky puts those in. So Sky, or is it still you, Sky, that's putting them in? Yeah. So Sky's putting all
mostly, and then Benjamin, we tag team.
And what's what channel is it under?
It is the chat links. Exactly.
Chat links is exactly what you're looking for that. There's not really any good way to search it right now or have it connected. We're working on that.
Chat hyphen links.
Yeah, we're going to go over a little over, and then we'll answer these really fast. Next question.
Andy Seal in Oldbury, UK says, has anyone experienced the app? It seems to add placeholders to virtual backgrounds, and Copilot mode lets two people edit and control one presentation, take turns showing your slides, or even have a buddy art direct and drive the deck.
I don't like slides. so I think I have a problem with that. I think you can do slides. I'm building I build slide decks every day. So I think that the traditional thing that is empowering, I think, is problematic. But I think that people do want to do it, and I still have to do it. So I played with it a little bit, and I just can't find a place for it in my pipeline. I don't know if I'm not, since no one else is raising their hand, we'll move on. Next question.
Todd Reynolds in North Adams, Massachusetts says, I find an intermittent issue with connecting my Atem Mini Pro to my laptop. Sometimes it needs to restart to register. Has anyone else had this issue? Is it normal, the box, or a USB direction to look at?
Usually that connection is probably right when you're joining a meeting. Is when you have that. Is that when you see that, Todd? Is right when you're joining a meeting?
No, it's actually if I launch Ecamm Live or anything else. Yeah, that's
anything where it asks for the first frame, but it's right at the launch, and once it's working, it's fine, right?
Well, once
you restart.
Yeah, once I restart, it's all good. Yeah.
Yep. There's some negotiation thing there with the video. When it asks for the full res video, we see it in Zoom all the time, and we unplug both the USB-C and the power to the switcher, and then plug it back in, and then it works fine.
Yes,
but it's great. But we haven't found a software or a behavior solution other than that experience, and I probably do it once or twice a week. Rupert,
I was just thinking it could be another application locked onto it, like Teams or Skype or something like that.
Maybe, but we just find it, even with Zoom, even when I jump from one Zoom to another Zoom, like I come out of a meeting into a webinar or something, I'll lose it on the jump, but not always. There's some negotiation there. Next question.
Craig Cadota of Toronto says, seeing the quality of some of the linked YouTube videos, why is office hours on YouTube only in 720? It's
how Zoom streams it out. We're working on solving that. It'll be 1080p by May. We've tested some 1080p stuff privately, and it works pretty well. There's a couple little glitches that we're kind of middling through, but we should have it working soon. Next question.
Jason Jancic says, I recently invested in Content Creators Bundle on waves.com. It comes with 2 bonus plugins. Any recommendations? Ooh, that's a tough one.
I don't know. Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
So anything from the Abbey Road stuff.
Great. Next question.
Ernest Floyd of Bastrop, Louisiana. My client has a budget of $200 to $250 for a mixer they will be using with a Pyle headset. It'll just be for Zoom. Any recommendations?
Go ahead, Roscoe.
Get an Atem Mini. It works.
Well, it's a little over their budget though. It's $299. Go ahead, John.
I've had, I don't know, 24 mixers over the last 15 years or so, and all of them have not done as good a job as buying a regular interface. So get a Focusrite or one of the Motus, much better quality.
Good. Jeff?
Get a Sabrent or a TechRise for $20 or under.
Right.
If all you wanted is for the Pyle headset into Zoom, that will do a great job.
Just remember that the Sabrent, by the way, will handle the TS fine. The TechRise needs a TRS, or you have to open it up and remove it or put an adapter in. So the new TechRises are a little bit more problematic. It's been a headache for me for the last couple of weeks. Go ahead, Mickey, and then Jeffrey, but real fast.
Yeah, I second what John Prado mentioned. Get a good interface like an X2U or a Motu, and a Rode VXLR Plus, so that you can hook up that Pyle in there and get the appropriate amount of voltage.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeffrey, real fast.
I was just going to say use an adapter into the XLR, and that'll cost you an extra $50 to $100 right there.
Next question.
Jonathan Swan of Upper Marlboro, Maryland says, general lighting question. How much shadow is too much shadow, good versus good shadow, and how much light is too much light?
I mean, so in general, when looking at a scope or something like that, you don't want to peak it. You don't want to go over what it can do or crush the black. So when you start, really where you want to look at this is, again, scopes are super powerful, and you want to be able to look at them and qualitatively decide, or really quantitatively decide, this is crushing the blacks where you see flat lines on the blacks, or this is crushing the whites where you see it flatten out on the whites. But trying to get full range is usually a pretty important thing for a general use. But when you're talking about film, it can be all black. It can be all, all of that moves on. I'm sorry, I'm going to move on because we're running out of time. Next question.
Jan Landy of Las Vegas says, yesterday I found out that Zoom deleted all of my future weekly meetings. Then I added them back. The show counter was off by 11 shows. Any suggestions on why that might have happened?
If you have a repeating meeting, you might have changed the date by accident and had it flip. And then once it did that, it would have wiped them out. John, and then Jason.
Here's John Idleson's answer: support@zoom.us.
Go ahead, Jason.
only thing I can think of is if you were using like a Google account to sign in with SSO and somehow that got broken, and then you accidentally signed up with the same credential to an actual Zoom.us account, I suppose that's possible.
I don't know how they're numbered. Like this one isn't numbered. I've been doing this one for over a year, and it doesn't have a number.
Sure,
So
it
I'm not
does.
sure. Does it?
Yeah, it's
it
just
tells you what-
shorter than most of them because it's such an old one.
So okay. Next question.
Alan Snyder has our last one from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Is there any way to get a screen recording from Mukana, as it has the video and the questions that are being answered at the moment?
Yeah, you could record the screen. You can use QuickTime. The screen, just record the screen. It'd be a horrible experience, but you could definitely do it. Definitely being able to capture all of that data is something that we're thinking hard about. It'll take a little time. It's not the first thing in the next. It's not the next thing in the roadmap, but it is something that we definitely are conscious needs to be sorted out. All right, are you guys ready? Got a lot of people watching. So this is a hotly followed conversation of everyone showing their location. Let me see if I can put mine up here. Let's see if I can get this out of the way here. We'll go around. Hold on, let's see here.
And for those of us that have all their gear in other locations, can we just watch from outside?
Yeah, you can just
okay.
Watch.
Thank you.
Let me see if I have. There we go. So I'll show you mine, and then you guys can all show yours. So let me cut to. This is what my keyboard looks like. So if I pull back, there's a lot of wires back there. So there's my mic, and this is the infamous. Now it does put the cable inside, but I keep on changing stuff, so I haven't put it in yet. So this is my mic here. Now that's my Windows. This one's I'm still setting up. This is going to be a second monitor with probably scopes on it. I have a lot of table space, so here's my my Atem with the Scorpio. This is what I record training to, is my little picks here if I'm building those things out there. Of course, iMac and all of you. There's the camera up there. There's my Multiview for the Atem. I'm building this out right now. This is actually a 4-up. So I've got this little guy here. There's a bunch of Mac Minis that are driving the 4-up. If I click on this is a little, so now there's four 4-ups there. One turned off, one went to sleep. But anyway, so that's there. Now this is right now, I've been messing with
You're really off mic, sir.
What's on the lid of your MacBook Pro there?
Oh, this is that's a Lego. It's actually a Lego case. I don't think they make them anymore, but this is a 2015. I'm just using it for the teleprompter. What was really great about that is that I would buy Lego kits for my son, and his only payment for the Lego kit is he had to give me all the flat pieces. So I would take all the flat pieces of Lego, and I might have one around here, and I'd super glue them to to hard drives and modems and everything else, and I could just snap them onto the back of my computer. So, and then I have a little bit of junk and a keyboard over there. There's my little other Mini that I'm using kind of right now as a digitizer. And then I have over here my P-Touch. Love it. Sometimes I want to go retro just for a moment to break. So this is I don't remember who makes this, Coleco or something like that, a little football game that I played when I was like 10 years old. So it's around. This is how I open mail. So and
I love that game.
And then here's Hosmuk's. I've been kind of going through it, trying to figure out which ones we want to request. Some random computers, and then some more cameras that we're playing with. And then I have, this is sorry, I keep on walking off the mic, but this is my little cove that I built. That's my hair light. That's my base light here. This is the gray screen. There's a green screen hidden back there. There's another gray screen. This is what I used before, which was a horrible idea. And then this was the better idea. Now this is the horrible grid that I'm eventually going to replace, which is made out of pipes. And literally I went to the hardware store and just got them. I got them before COVID started and just never got around to it. I've been experimenting with a shotgun, but I don't use it very often. And then I've got some, the nice thing about the pipes is you can hang things like cameras from it. So there's one of my kind of close-up cameras that I obviously haven't wired for recently. So that's, and then I've got these are Nanlite 100Bs that are there for that. Anyway, that's my setup. So who is the next? We'll have to keep moving. I probably took more time than I should have. Who's next? Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. I need to turn the overhead light on because without that, all the dark corners will not be seen. So let's go to the wide shot first. So this is the desk circumstance. So you're seeing the laptop I use for research to look up pronunciations and things. That's normally Mukana's operator app, but I have it turned off because it's under NDA. This is my teleprompter monitor directly in front of you, and you'll be able to see that because I'm going to hop up the iPhone here. In fact, let me do that for this look at the table. Okay, so this is what I see. There's the Neumann. There's where the blue screen is Mukana. There's a couple of small lights that light me. That's a 40-inch monitor above me that I generally don't pay attention to. In fact, I often keep it turned off because if I do that, I look up and my eye line is really weird. Atem Mini, the audio interface, my Rolls mic switch that keeps me clicking off, my, of course, remote's coffee cup, which is critical, and audio monitors behind there. The fun thing is, okay, what's happening up top? There's a couple of lights. You can see the Manfrotto auto poles up there, which have, that's part of the soundproofing to knock down reflections off the ceiling up there. There's a whole series of, that's a pole that I use for green screen, the occasions that I do it. The rest of the time, that's my background that you guys all see behind me every day. And that's light leaking in from the outside from the window. And that's pretty much it.
Who's next? Ken. Ken, we're all waiting for Ken's.
Okay, I'll try and be quick because there's quite a lot of stuff here.
We know.
Maybe do the I'll do the quick overhead view first. So this is my M1, which is Zoom's going through. Then I can move this, so you can see that's the Blackmagic 6K with the Sigma 2.8 lens. That's what this view is. That's now mounted to the table, which is on wheels, as you can see. This here is the Blackmagic 7K, not 7K, the 12G 7-inch monitor. Let's see, that's the Atem Mini Extreme ISO. It's on this stand, which I put a link into in Mukana, which is really good because it's got a fan underneath it, so that keeps this cool, and I can adjust it to any height. There's another stand here, which is what the M1 is on. This here is the Wacom Cintiq 16, I think. It's there. This is my Apple XDR monitor. I've got a fill light, which is on a stand, which, can I adjust this? Well, you can see the stand anyway. This stand here, that's Manfrotto stands, which I've got. You see numerous ones around the desk. I've got my old, actually, what I'll do, I'll be quick.
And we'll have to move pretty quickly because we
got
a lot of people.
We've got a lot, yeah. So the arm that this mounts on. Well, I'll just show my lights actually. That's the
the video didn't
light.
switch.
We're not seeing it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's my main fill light. That's what I use to light the backdrop. This Godox is what I use to do that pink highlight. These are what I use to fill any little spaces with lights.
Who makes those?
Are the those are the aperture MCs. That will do for now.
Awesome.
So
That's awesome. That's okay. Awesome. Felipe, I know you're leaving soon. Let's throw you in there.
If I unmute myself, it's probably better.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I'm a little bit far from the microphone. So here we have my living room, and this corner is all the corner that I'm awarded at home to have. I have the I have the Elgato Keylight Airs here, a teleprompter. Have the iPad there as a sidecar, monitor for the Atem Extreme, and then I have the Atem Mini going into the Atem Extreme. On my input 8, there the 4 inputs on the Atem Mini are monitor number 1 for these guys here. So the monitor number 2 for the B-Links are all 1 through 4, 4th being the Nook. And it's very simple. That's all it is. And since yesterday, I have the bigger Stream Deck with me.
And what are the plants?
The plants is that my girlfriend said that my table didn't look nice enough, so I needed succulents. But since I normally kill plants, those are fake. And and then of course I have this arm here. I really like it, except for the fact that it cannot undersling. It's the blue compass.
Oh right.
It's very nice. The cable goes inside it, and it's going down. Okay, that's it. Yeah, I think that's all.
That's great. It's nice and clean.
And then TJ2. Yeah, and the Mac Pro, of course, they're running everything. The Ultra Studio Mini that gets the feed from the camera, from the Ultra Studio Mini that it gets to here. This way, I can always have a clean camera feed independent from the Atem in case I need it.
Makes sense. That's great. Next, who's next? Jeffrey?
Okay, so try and be as quick as possible. We'll start over here. This is my overall. I got a big room here, and I got 3 stations. The main station is right here. We got a sit-stand desk here, so I can stand up and sit down more. Of course, looking at the camera, we'll go over to this one right here. It's basically my Sony is on a newer.
We're hearing two audios now.
Oh, sorry. So anyway, that's the newer on a slider, and I was going to show you on this camera, but I'll just hold off on that. I have one of the low-profile arms. I actually found one off on Amazon that kind of works pretty well. I don't know how the difference in quality between yours and mine, but works really well. And of course, I think Bill also has this little clip on the microphone, so I can change out microphones super quick. Over here is where my drum set is, and that's where my Atem Mini ISO is, and of course 4 cameras around the drum set, so I can do any type of recording from there. And then of course I just built in my telescribe, so I can actually do some drawing onto the screen as I go. And then over here I have my keyboard setup, which is more cameras and more microphones.
That's great. Fantastic. Jason?
All right. Full disclosure, I ripped this whole thing apart yesterday. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Alex said we were going to show off the studios today. So this is absolutely my madhouse, but it's not usually this madhousey. So here we go. All right. So let me see. Where do I get started here? So when I sit down, this is what I see. There's a large clock and a couple of ring lights, 5K display. Meters are down below. Whole bunch of keyboards because I don't want a button to switch them. I want to be able to put my hand on the right thing. MacBook, a whole stack of minis that are back there on a network cabinet. Another Atem Mini, I believe that's the ISO. The rack that I'm in the middle of unracking and re-racking. That's a 4K that's doing monitoring output. This is a Prompter People 24-inch prompter with behind it, I think it's an Atem, or no, I'm sorry, a 6K camera. Main camera is behind that tiny little prompter that I've yet to rig back up again.
Bass traps
And-
in the corner, Jason.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bass traps both up above and below, but I'm not gonna waste my time on styrofoam. Let's see. TV Studio 4K Pro, Atem Extreme ISO, full audio rack, full compression, and what have you. That's rarely used, but it does come in handy. Then there's a lower rack down here for GPUs. They're racked up, and then down there is a whole unbelievable amount of GAC that is getting better and better because this is my creative place of crazy.
That's great. Thanks, Jason. Who's next? Go ahead, Jan.
All right. I am very impressed on how everybody is got so much stuff. Okay, so my main thing, my phone, my iPad, my portal. I've got a MacBook Pro, and it's on a rooster. Which elevates it up, and behind you can see my hard drives, my calculator, my 10 key, and then we go up. And so this is what I am looking at right there. That is an LG. That's a 32-inch LG screen. And then I have it lit up with the Elgato big key lights. That is the new aperture light. That's my Sony ZV-1. That's my Canon 5. And then I just got my Gorilla pads, my Mevo. This is the L-Track, which I like so much because the reason I like this is because you can plug in instruments on the top up here. And then, of course, I've got my workstation and my X keys, and that's my DJI Pro. That's the new Apogee mic. That's the Sony headsets. Then I got some wires down there and my green screen. That's about it.
That's awesome. Well played. All right, who is next? Go ahead. Go ahead, Tony, and then Hosmug.
Okay, guys, mine is the regular guys setup. And so we're going to just go to the iPhone. Okay, and so you can see this is my primary monitor, which is connected to the Atem Mini. This is my multi-view out. This is my iPad here, Mac Mini, Anker hub, iPhone charger, Raspberry Pi, Apple Watch charger. This is my 5-port Ethernet switcher, thanks to office hours. My Atem Mini. My Atem Mini.
We lost the camera.
Okay.
I heard a click. It sounded like maybe a cable fell.
Alex, we need a before and after hours.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that Tony, I think the first time Tony came on, he was like on a laptop.
Unbelievable
like
progress.
He had a laptop.
Okay,
that's great.
That's my power cable. This is the other iPad, which is doing Filmic Pro. This is one of my iPhone stands, another iPhone stand. That is the cord going to the Ethernet in the wall, which is courtesy of office hours, which is connected to the that's AirPlay 55-inch Samsung TV. And you guys are correct. I originally came on with just a 2012 MacBook Pro, which used to be here, which I have had to lay to rest, never to
I am
come
so
back.
proud of this.
I love so great.
Yeah,
so great.
So thank you guys.
Well done.
And you
Tony.
still have a wife, Tony?
I still have a life. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Let's go to Hosmuk and then David.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed with myself for volunteering to do this. So this is my 10th iteration of my office.
I
So
see you have
I'm
a small
switch-
tribe building up behind you.
Yeah,
It started as one tribesman and it keeps on adding. Anyway, go
So
ahead.
this is in front of me. It's 65-inch TV, LG, and then I've got the Brio in front of it. I'm waiting for my Blackmagic. Obviously a ring light there, and two curtains just to give the acoustic support. The Sennheiser 416 mic, and then people were talking about how to put a stand on the mix pre. So I got this Manfrotto Mini tripod here, MacBook Pro. I'm not using the ATEM today. There's the Stream Deck. The entire room is painted gray. I just need to cover the walls. I'm using the Rode Goes to feed into my in-ear monitors. And that's my favorite mug. And this cupboard still needs some acoustic treatment. So that's my setup.
That's great. It's great. David?
Alrighty. Courtesy of office hours, I've changed things up a bit here. We're running, let me see if I got that right. These are two LG 27 UHDs that I use the software quad split on. The display in front here is a Dell P2418HT. It's a touch display, so I can actually do the cuts and stuff straight here from, if needed. That's the work-provided laptop. It's got a Toshiba Display Link thing just set up for a second thing so I can split my calendar and email and keep on in touch with that. And the little I'm using an old Blackmagic Video Assist 7-inch for my Multiview off to the side there. In the behind, and the pièce de résistance though is the 20th anniversary Mac. That's right there.
Nice.
It's been brought up just for eye candy. And then another computer behind me for work, and another one over there for stuff. So.
And what are you lighting the what colored lights are you using behind you?
The colored lights, I forget the brand, but they're these little metal jobs by VL or VIJIM. They're these tiny little metallic jobs, and because the shelves are metal, they just stick right up there, so they're pretty slick. They're not software controlled in any way. The other nice piece of kit that I have is it's a Magewell, what is it? The NDI Pro converter. So I can switch from that's an iPod Touch sending out NDI camera. But if I go into software, I can toggle it to my overhead Mevo shot without hitting the switcher yet. I'm still working on putting that all in. And that's about it.
That's awesome. Very well done. Go ahead, Charles.
Thank you.
And then Todd.
Yeah, so you guys have seen some of this, but essentially, right, so these are two BenQs 8220Us that are 32 inches, used just for mostly GUI work when I'm in Resolve. Up top, we have the Flanders Scientific XM55 1U to the, okay, there we go. Yeah, so 8350 Genelex, right, left, some more in the back, 8330s. Okay, starting from the left, we have about 104 terabytes of RAID storage and NVMe's. MixPre 3, Atem Mini, slowly building a collection of old iPods.
That's great.
My favorite toy, although I'm hoping that Blackmagic will extend this to be full. Oh, I read that. Be full HDR. Coming to the left, my Stream Deck. And over here we have a PreSonus and a Blackmagic Studio 4K Mini. When you have your own house, These are my favorite tools. I carry these everywhere. This is all I carry around in my pocket. MacBook. The light is a Genere. Oh, actually, I have another one down here. So this is more of a mess. So the Genere light down here. 4 more of the Genelec 8350s. Some sound dampening. Windows. Essentially, the whole room is painted in a N5 paint, and I'm lucky to have this room because I could keep my mess all in here, and the lady doesn't, get too upset. So that's about it.
Go ahead. That's great. Todd?
Hi, it is a pleasure to do this with you. So this is my recording studio that I've had for the past 20, 30 years where I work, and it didn't become a production studio till last March, and boy, do I wish that I had known of office hours back last March and didn't do this alone. So in any case, here, I'll just give you a quick tour. Starting from right to left, this is my, a couple of Manfrotto auto poles, a mess over in the corner, GoPro Hero 4, which does that wide shot. My modular synth, Brian Crabtree's Monome here is a MIDI controller, Genelec 8040s back there that I use for my work, and another GoPro 8 for a little shot of the modular synth, and so that's that. And then moving back, these monitors, you guys probably know the name of these monitors better than I. They're Dell 24 inches, I think. Mm-hmm. And then there's my telestrator setup with the iPad. God, my hands are shaking. I'm nervous. I'm a performer. I'm nervous.
It looks great.
That's a MIDI fighter twister, which is a great MIDI controller.
I love that controller.
It's such a great controller. And the Stream Deck and keyboard. Here's one of my violins and the Arturia keyboard. And I use an RME UFX, so this remote control back there amidst my wires is amazing. Pluggable USB, I don't know, was that a 10-port 2.0? And then the Thunderbolt 14 in the back. My blessed Atem Mini Pro, which took me 6 weeks to get in early pandemic, and I'm thrilled that I made that choice. And there's my Multiview monitor back there, which is kind of bright. I'm sorry for the $40 USB camera. That's kind of all I could find for a while. And here's the RME over here in my rack. There you'll find the old H3000 Eventide and some of the production equipment we've been using forever. And this saggy pole here holding an A6300 on an articulating arm. And newer lights, the ones that I guess we're all used to. And this is my first level lighting setup. And back here, North Adams Vintage. North Adams Vintage back there as well. And cable wranglers in the corner, which I love. Oh, and that's my vocal booth, which, by the way, is all U-Haul blankets. It cost me probably about the equivalent of $60.
What are those? What are the cable wranglers who makes those?
It's a company called Cable Wrangler. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's a company called Cable Wrangler. If you search that on Amazon, you find it. I believe they're just 3D printed hangers with regular ball end elastics on them that you can buy in bulk as well.
They look great. I need some of those.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah. All right.
It's a great solution because I can get, well, especially for you guys who are live event guys, you can carry them especially, but hanging them on the wall on a nail really works for me.
That's amazing.
Give me a walk-in closet back.
Doug, and then John, and then Carl.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Forgive me. This is the NDI screen capture. So this is my edit suite.
But you're not in your truck.
Stand by, sir. Stand by.
Standing by.
Go ahead. We got to move quickly. Go ahead.
All right. So I have 3 monitors here. There's Victor, another monitor, my light. I have a DVD burner or printer, QNAP storage, couple DVD burners, some RAID. The big RAIDs are behind me in another room. I even have more monitors and computers on this side. And more computers here. And even an Xbox controller when Jeff Keithley wants me to run a camera remotely for him doing his tennis work. And if that's not enough, we can go to the truck, and there's just a whole other funness
I think that's a whole
Very
other.
nice.
I think we're going to split that up. When we do the truck, we'll do I think we ought to do like a tour of like production kits as opposed to our home kit. But
so you too can have a truck like that. Mr. Jeff Keithley is the one who built that. So got to give props to him. Yeah, so that's kind of my setup in a short time frame.
That's great. Thanks, Doug. John, and then Carl.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go. I forgot we were doing this today, Alex. So I'm gonna switch over to my. This is NDX running the NDI. iMac Pro running the 4K, 5K monitors, and then PC over here. Another monitor, so I've got cameras all over my house. There's my Raspberry Pi computer that's been there that just turned off. That's funny. And then over here, I've got another desk. I don't know if you guys can hear me anymore or not, but
It's just barely.
Rack of gear sitting over here, and then here's my X32 and Shure Accent, which is
Nice.
my travel kit. And then I've got my Sony A7 over here, another rack of gear sitting over here. And this is just my house rig. So that's it
awesome.
in a nutshell.
That is awesome. Carl? Oh, can't hear you.
Yep. So I'll start out with what I'm talking into. So I'm talking into a 906 microphone. That's going into, let's take a look. So it's going into a flow.
Mm-hmm.
The flow is pretty handy, especially for streaming. It has streaming and recording settings. So it's in streaming at the moment. That was the issue I had before the show. I had it in recording. That's how I've been using it. My room is set up mainly for music, but I do set it up for streaming once in a while. So my Atem Mini is just a standard Atem Mini. I'll probably get the Extreme when I need it, but I don't need it just yet. I've got my little bench here, this is my phone to control the flow. And this is mouse, so I can there's my screen. So I'm a photographer during my daytime job. So that's a 5DSR, it's a studio camera, but it gives me a nice bokeh in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So the lights, these are Westcott LEDs going into a Godox softbox. So I've used some C47s down the bottom there that gives me better catch light in the eyes. Another one at the back, a few guitars, Stratocaster and a 1275. And then up top is more my audio equipment. So it's my rack for some of the stuff. I've got racks in other rooms as well. So one of the other shows I came on, so my synthesizers are asleep tonight. It's well past their bedtime, so I put them to sleep. And my amps, yeah. So so flagship synthesizers. You don't want to get dust in them if you can avoid it. And then essentially I try not to use headphones. I prefer to use headphones as someone who's into music, but I understand that sometimes it's better not to use headphones when I show. This room is set up for diffusion. So I've got a Kallax here that's just got like headphones and controllers and cables and a lot of Apple stuff and a lot of Star Wars VHS. But it works as a diffuser. So synthesizer at tops. So I have these set up as diffusers. So this room is really well diffused, and also the bookshelf at the back. So it acts as really well diffusing when I'm using acoustic guitar, which is up the top there. So Hummingbird, that's what's asleep as well. All right.
That is awesome. I'm having so much fun. All right, Jeff, and then Leland.
I'm going to unmute, and let's see. Here we go. So here we go. We have there's my main machine with Atem Mini underneath, Atem Mini Pro. I've got the ISA over there that's not gone into service yet. Facebook portal, which I don't need so much anymore because of meeting meters. Down here we have a lot of audio stuff. The analog mixer doesn't get used much, but we do have the Pro Tools HD rig. And then if I use regular mics, I've got the Symmetrics channel strip, and that box at the bottom is a Pro Tools Dante interface, which sometimes gets used. Big monitor back there with the camera right above the center channel. Got Genelix around. and 2 LEDs up top. We actually refinished this room about a few months before COVID hit, which was wonderful. I've got piano around here, surround.
Oh, you forgot the percussion in the corner that no one else got.
Yeah. We got cajon in the corner, nice spot. Bass amp, got some mugs, a whole stack of scores that I need to do some editing on that I have not gotten to. Rack of guitars, and back in that corner, which I can't get to because I don't have a long enough cable, is basically the workbench shop. So I've got soldering, built a couple electrical guitar pedals back there. So that's the room. Here is another machine that I'm remoting into our school, where I've got Yamaha mixer, Atem switcher. And then one of the great things about this desk, which is glass top, but at the back, you see we've got sort of metal pegboard. Sorry about that. Just yanked out the HDMI cable. And I'm back. So the wonderful thing about that is you can very easily tie wrap things to the back of the desk. And there's my thing I'm testing out today, which is a couple of transformer balanced to unbalanced to go up into the Atem Mini for pro audio.
That's awesome. And,
I think
and
I
you're
got
doing
everything.
is it 5.1 is what you're doing with the surround?
It is 5.1 at the moment, yeah.
That's great. Very cool.
Yeah,
next
sub
question.
is down front.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's awesome. I bet you it sounds great. Leland, I think you're next.
I love it. Yes, I'm all ready to go here. I'm going to cut into a very small office. I'm in about a 7x13 room here in the back. And what I've got here is a PC build. I have 2 PCs, one down on the left, one down on the right. I have a Ryzen 9 on a gigabit master motherboard. The other is, that's the Aurora's motherboard. The other is also a Ryzen 7. Now those are connected with a virtual capture card. Basically, I'm taking a loopback feed from one of the video ports on this machine into the input of the capture card here, which then comes out of the output for the capture card up into an NDI Kilo 2 or Kilo E2.
Is that sunflower avocado, Leland?
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like that. And then I use the monitor port from there to actually connect this monitor. And this is what a lot of people have mentioned, and Alex has mentioned my name a couple times in recent broadcasts about how I do my closed captioning. I'll get to that some other time. I will have a video for that. But that video monitor allows me to create a source that is always NDI. Whatever I drop into that screen will become an NDI source because it's automatically looping through the NDI box, and it's creating that NDI input for me to use anywhere within the system. So these 3 monitors here are connected to the first box. This is a 32-inch Dell and 2 Scepter 24-inch LED monitors, which all of these are Scepter 24-inch monitors. They're not touchscreen. And then I have the Wacom Intuos tablet here for doing, but very similar to what Alex does with the Telestrator. I use Zoom AXE, and I put it on this monitor with a green screen, and then I can do write-overs on the screen as well. I have the X-Keys 128. I also have the APC40 MK2, and then as far as mounting this hardware went, it was a little tricky, but we got it done. I'm going to use an NDI feed real quick here to give you guys some audio if it is working right. But basically, well, let's not. It's a Mount Pro. This is actually a Mount Pro 3-monitor mount, and I went and bought a second one and ran it on the same post above the first one, so I was able to mount 5 monitors to one stand. And then the second post that came with the other mount, I used to mount that monitor off onto the side. And then basically I have a small 10-inch tablet to run Matrix, which is an app that allows me to control Zoom with a touchscreen. And then a Bose system connected as far as software. I have a little I'm sorry, why can't I think straight? 2.1 system here with a subwoofer and 2 small satellite speakers. And then I have a mixer down below here on the subwoofer. I separate those if I go to use them, but if I need to connect an analog signal down there, I can as well. And then I'm just using a very simple overhead 5000K LED strip light, which can also be daisy chained. So if I wanted to move these lights around the room, I could. But other than that, it's just that light in the room light. That's it.
That's awesome, Leland. Thanks. John Idelson, Robert Grader, and then Matt Hand.
Okay, let me see if I can switch this up. Do I got that there? 1 second, team. As
Whoa,
I
that's
get there.
that's crazy.
You want to get rid of me, right? There we
I don't
go.
want to get rid of you. I just,
No.
It's like you were touring yourself.
So the
That was some great.
Keyboard up to the MacBook. The camera's sitting right there, and then behind it a large 43-inch screen. So that's what's in front of me. Over on the side of my Atem Mini, this monitor is being held by gravity. You can see my two play-out Bs playing there. On this side, I have the teleprompter when I need it. If we go over to the other side, you can see my mic boom, and you can see my portal. And then over here is where I keep the iPad and another monitor if I need it. If I ever need a paper clip, I have them up on the wall. And then this is the rest of the mess. So back to you, Alex. By the way, this is going to be retired. I'm redoing my studio downstairs, so we'll have to do a repeat another day.
That sounds good. We'll do this, I think, about every 6 months, because I bet you it'll be a lot of progress. Go ahead, Robert, and then Matt.
Hey guys. So my setup is always evolving here, like most people. Let's switch over to my NDI feed here. So this is my office in my place of employment here. Basic right here. So this is a Samsung 36-inch widescreen, which is my primary monitor. This is my my Zoom setup here, Blackmagic, a backup USB camera. This is a remote desktop for some vMix stuff that we're doing here. ClearCom Eclipse, it's always ready to go. UnityCom is kind of sitting over there ready to go. My camera used to face this way, but it was a little bit too busy, and kind of archive of old switchers over there. You can see some Panasonics and some Grass Valleys and some Atoms. And then through that window is our main control room here in the office. And that's a basic of multi-use vMix room where Ross Carbonite sits in there. And then next to that room, we also have a full audio room. And that's that's my setup, very
awesome.
simple, easy to use, Unity phone here that we're playing with.
Absolutely. That's great. Matt?
Well, I have to admit that I don't have a home studio. So I own my own production company, and so that's my home studio. It's basically a control room is what it is, but I've got a bunch of Stream Decks that control Constellation in the machine room. The beautiful thing about this is that most people don't know on the Constellation, it gives a 4K output, which is great because I can take a standard UHD monitor and make it into these beautiful, almost 1080 outputs. So we do a lot of Zoom stuff. So I built it so that we've got a bunch of computers in the other room, and it just works. And this was all a sort of a pandemic thing where I actually did have a home studio, and then I outgrew the space and needed to do it from somewhere else. So it's not really a home studio. That's the only thing.
No, it's all like wherever we're coming in from. So that's perfect. That's great. Fantastic. Looks great. It's a good problem to have to grow out of your home studio. That's the right direction you want to be going.
Alex, can I ask where Matt lives? It says Bend. Is that Bend, Oregon?
That is correct. Yes, Bend, Oregon.
I love Bend. I saw the eclipse there. It was where we shot the eclipse there for Nat Geo. It's great. Roscoe and then Mickey.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm on deck. Let me switch my camera here real quick. This is really all right. So basically, I have all my windows right in front of me. I think you can see them here. Yep. And that's kind of weird seeing the reduction. So my windows, office hours, right below it, I have Mukana, and below that I have that. And so I keep everything right in front of me. And it's a very simple setup. Got the boxes to lift that. This is the Pi shop over here, and that monitor is only here. My son brought it and I hooked it up to the Pi, but this will all go away. My wife would like to see it go. And my lighting is very simple too, because if I need more light, I just slide it this way. If I need less light, I just slide it that way. And I like my view down here. So I get to look at my bunny rabbits and squirrels run by in the morning. I'll leave it there.
That's great. That's great. Go ahead, Mickey.
All right, let me cut to me first, and then pick up this iPhone. Nope, wrong camera. All right, there we go. All right, so this is my AKG 414, and this is the sound devices 552 it's going in. And going into a Focusrite interface. And this is my iPhone 10 something that's acting as my camera. And then I don't know if you guys recall the plastic tub lid diffusion. This is an evolution of it. This has been up here for the past year.
The plastic tub bounce. Nice.
Yeah, plastic tub being held in by a Cardellini right there. Although in the past it was lit up with a large flashlight. Now I got a little floodlight, a 10-watt floodlight that I think kicks out 900 lumens, I believe.
That's hilarious.
And that's the diffusion on that. That is at 6,500 Kelvin. And this is a little fill that is actually, but it's auto white bouncing. It's actually a warmer light compared to the little, what do you call this, floodlight there. And this is a downlight on a stand. That's a literal downlight that you usually place in your ceiling. And that's
Is
on a
that
stand.
halogen?
No, it's an LED. And that is being held in with a Dincom arm on a Manfrotto 420B, what do you call this, a light stand. And this is a little LumiPad 11, and that is kicking out to the blue cabinets right here. And then I have two LumiPad 25s in the other room that I haven't opened up yet. So that is my janky little. What other junk do I have on this desk? I have a bunch of adapters.
Mickey, this is your house, right?
This is my bedroom.
That's great.
So yeah, that's
what you do with the deck of cards?
Fidget.
That's
I didn't see the cigarettes, Mickey.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Over to the side there. Yep.
Let's go to Rupert and then Guy.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, we can.
Okay, I'm actually going to switch cameras, so hopefully this will work. Do you have a picture now?
You're frozen. Oh, now we get it.
Okay, and then I'm going to switch.
No, it's not moving.
No, I'm not moving yet. I'm now going to switch microphones, and then just tell me if you can hear me. Microphones now. Can you hear me on this one?
We can.
Okay, so this is my basically home office. This is where I'm normally sitting. It's my kind of standing desk test setup. That's the two monitors in the middle is my basically main Zoom setup. I've got basically have gallery here and normally active speaker up there. In the middle, I have my Brio right there. Mm-hmm. This is a secondary machine. It's a Surface, and I run that on Mukana and Discord or whatever like that. Over here is basically my sort of workstation. So this is just for Zoom. This is where I get some work done. I've got a presentation monitor up there and a TV there if I need to watch TV, VoIP phones for conferencing and stuff like that. My Ubiquity network stuff down here, whiteboards and pictures and stuff like that. And then over here, this is sort of playback area where I look at stuff or capture TV or any other playback like that. I've got a Sony just 2.1 with a big sub under there here. Sony Hi-Fi just for old nostalgia purposes. And this is a capture machine I use for capturing streams, Zooms or whatever. And then some artwork. And those are the curtains that I normally talk into. It's the blacked out window, and these are two big soft boxes. Up here I've got a couple of adjustable work lights for down here, and a kind of Hall of Fame stuff up there. And that's it.
That's great. It's fantastic. Guy?
All righty, here we go. So this here is Scope Box that you see for the DV store conference room, which is that Zoom room. So that's what's behind me. So when you see that little cars and stuff, that's a NDI Discovery server running on a laptop. Backlight is kind of up there. Background light is right there on NAND light mixed panel 150. This is outputting that blue. Display is a LG 43-inch. That's where I sit with the Atem. Rode Broadcaster. Stream Deck is here with the mix pre down below. And moving over here, the laptop that runs this is a Razer gaming laptop. Lots of lights over here. Let me see if I can kind of get behind. There's a ring light, auto pole, prompter, small rig, Z-Cam, CalDigit, hub, Mac Mini M1. I don't want to get too low because there's a mess of cables underneath there that's kind of embarrassing, but that's basically it. Oh yeah, there's a light up here with, I don't know if you can see that, secured by just some rigging with, what are these things? I can't remember the name, but anyways, and yeah, the auto pole with the ring lights. That's pretty much it.
We're going to go to Guy and then Stuart. I'm sorry, not Guy, Sky and then Stuart.
I don't have a way of reversing because everything's over there. I've got a ring light up there and I'm coming straight in off of the laptop. I'm so close to my what's it called? The big screen thing. The Lazulite, yeah, that I just don't have room to put my light in. So I forgot to put it in this morning. I didn't know I was going to be on because I thought
you didn't see it coming.
But I get the feeling next week I will be completely eviscerated. So you will know more about my system than I even want to know.
Oh, very good. Very good. Everything just rearranged on me here. So now I had it all figured out here. Oh, Stuart.
Cool.
There we go.
Yep. Oh, hang on. I think we all hit mute at the same time, so
no,
it
we
should
can hear you.
be visible now.
Yep.
Excellent. Let me just turn on the GoPro that is battery was close to being dead, and I'm going to go in through a little USB capture box, so it's going to be a little second rate. And I'm a bit off mic, but let's go and have a look at something old. That up there is the camera I started office hours on. That is a security camera that is also a really good infrared spotlight. Above it, you can see a downlight with an LED conversion. There's two of those as my rim lights. And I have the huge Bunnings Special LED Vance LED panel. And you can see I've got a little camera set up for when we were doing our Playout Bs. The Playout B itself is sitting down there next to the loudest fans in the room. Yep, that's an Adamus. And this is our vMix machine and the two Dell monitors and the Sony VG900E. And those of you who tuned into the pre-show might have noticed I had the GoPro set up as a camera straight into the laptop. And the reason for that was, and I'll just let this play, and this is what we were doing this evening, where we were out at a pub, and I'll just bring the audio down. And so the entire setup was set up in the back room of the pub. The other side of the wall next to us is where the band is playing. So we'll just take a little tour out and down the dark hallway. The first camera we see is an XA40 Canon. My VG900 is over on the other side. And there's the band playing in the background. So that's why my gear is a real mess today and is the opposite of everyone else, where I have nowhere near the funds to spend as some of you guys, and I'm completely jealous of those neat and tidy rooms.
It's so much fun. It's, I feel like we all know each other better now. Like it's just like there's something about it. Like you see whatever we choose to show you on a day-to-day basis, but I think it's really fun to see the other side. And I think cross-pollination of us learning from each other, like, oh, there was a couple things that I saw on these that I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Or of course, the problem is it's expensive because I go, oh, I really need one of those. And I'm going to get that or this, or so on and so forth. Go ahead, Jason.
Alex, I realized that I forgot a really, really important thing that you may or may not recognize all the time.
Spectre.
I love Spectre. I will never ever get over Spectre. And if I ever get through this rack mess with the new stuff, I will absolutely pay for it.
Yeah, can't wait. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, go ahead, Mickey. You're gonna say one last thing.
Yeah, I think I forgot to point out something. And wait, why can't I not spotlight myself? One sec. Yeah, spotlight for everyone. There we go. Right, and then I'm gonna switch over my camera. I forgot to point out this essentially cutter, piece of sandpaper.
Home Depot diffuser.
There you go.
Good texture.
That's awesome.
Mickey
That's
wins
awesome.
MacGyver for this session.
Mickey gets the
Mickey Ring's most fiscally responsible setup. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I thought I was
exactly.
low budget. Mickey, that's
That-
amazing.
But it looks
that would
great.
be McGyver.
Yeah, MacGyver. That's great. The new and now he has the his new title, MacGyver. All right. Great day. That was really a lot of fun. Thanks for everyone willing to share how they're built up. We'll do this probably every 3 months, every 6 months or something. I think it's good. It's fun to see how things have evolved and changed. I know I'm getting ready to build something new here. So I think a lot of us will make some evolutionary moves there, but should be a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, fantastic show. Great work. I think that the fact that people can save questions has greatly increased the number of questions that we're getting. I don't know if it's connected or not, either that or just that our producers have just gotten a lot more effective. But wow, we got a lot of questions coming in, and so really, really well done by the producers to keep us moving, and then great job by the panel fielding all those questions, and it's really fun to see everybody's setups. Tomorrow we're going to switch gears and talk about social, so it should be a lot of fun, and we'll put out the recipe tomorrow morning and the links to the meeting for those of you who want to cook along or watch the cook along. You don't have to join that meeting and show something. We want to see how it looks for you and how your experience is just watching everybody else cook as well. But you'll get more out of it if you cook with us, even with just a single webcam. All right, we're gonna let you all go. We'll start the post show. See you in a second. Thanks, guys.